Howdy, folks. This video is all about the order in which we're tackling these films. There's a few potential orders that I want to get into, and then there's the justification, the rationale for the one I went after, along with some contextual materials about what came out when, why, and how to approach all this stuff. So, sorry for the lighting. Let me bring you to the presentation we're doing anyway, so you don't have to deal with my laptop's inferior lighting to my iPad and phone, on which the rest of the videos will be recorded. So, at least I've got this nice poster view for you of the original film posters, 4, 5, 6, beautiful, beautiful pieces. And so that brings us right to the order they were released. In 1977, Episode 4, A New Hope drops. Then 3 years later, Empire Strikes Back, Ep 5 comes out, and in 1983, it is concluded with Return of the Jedi. Now, if you ever see me posting like the capital O and T, that's the original trilogy. I might be calling them the OT. I'll be calling them F4, 5, 6, that type of thing. Sometimes we go with ANH, ESB, ROTJ, those types of things. You'll see that's the shortcuts we have for all this stuff. So keep an eye on that. But this is one of the orders we could have taken up on the course. We could have just gone historical releases, right? We see Star Wars the way Star Wars was released, and that's a strong move, especially because Episode 1 doesn't exist in a vacuum. Now, yes, you can go into Episode 1 as your first viewing. A lot of children, the first thing they learned about Star Wars was Episode 1. And it's designed to work that way. But the reality is Episode 1 isn't released as the first Star Wars movie. Episode 4 is the first Star Wars movie. Star Wars was a thing well before Ep 1 drops. And so to watch them in this order really does capture the notion that Star Wars exists before the first episode in the saga. You'll see that I have listed 3 films in 97, that is 4, 5, and 6 with the DR. That's the digital remaster. As Lucas was announcing that he was doing Episode 1, he was really thinking about all this new computer tech that he just didn't have, right? So he isn't quite versed in what's going on with that, with all of his options. So he's really thinking about like, hey, how do I get some practice, some dirt time in with this tech? And he decides to go into the original films, digitally alter things, all of that stuff that he had to compromise of his vision because of budget, timing, because the technology just didn't exist. He goes back in and revamps those things. So in January, February, March 1997, we get those re-releases. Now, I say we, but I was born in 86, so those were actually the first Star Wars films I saw in theaters. And sometimes it's just a touch-up of the effects, how they look, all that stuff. Sometimes there are entire new scenes added, and other times, a little more subversively, there are significant, or at least important to the fans, changes happening within scenes themselves, where it's like, hey, that's not what I remember. Now, this is all in preparation for Episodes 1, 2, and 3, which Lucas really wishes to leverage these things. Now, this is really creating a tumultuous moment for Star Wars fans, because Lucas is here saying that these digital remasters are Star Wars. They are the fact. And truthfully, that's the point. Canon is what we talk about, what actually happened in Star Wars. And those films are what happened, right? If you are like me, you can go off and dig up your old VHS Star Wars, right? This was the first way I'd ever seen Star Wars. My dad rented them for me, and we had family movie nights. So you can go home, you can grab these things, and if you can find a VHS player, you can pop it in, and you can see, like, in the background of Return of the Jedi, because there was just no budget and no time for making these changes. You'll see in a long line of starships that in the back there's a white sneaker, right? And so that's not in the digital remasters. Lucas drops in a ship. So stuff like that is in there. And it's pretty contested, or not contested. Lucas decides what's canon. It's not up to a fan, but fans are really passionate about the value of those changes. So, that's something we're probably not going to discuss too much in this course, although if you want to get into it on the boards, like, let's do it. But at the end of the day is there's the actual Star Wars stuff that occurred, and that's not really up for debate, right? And then we get episodes 1, 2, and 3 coming out in 99, 2002, and 2005, respectively. And then we still, like, we had years and years in between the 83 and 99 drop. And then we get another 10 years in between EPS 3 and EPS 7, right? So The Force Awakens comes out 2015, and then Disney, having bought the properties, is looking for a once-a-year Christmas time release. So they do Episode 7 saga release, and then they're going to take a year off to just do the stories. So they talk about Rogue One, which is about the gathering of the Death Star plans back in the OT. And then you get Episode 8, and then they kind of like jar the timeline, so we come right back around to May and get Solo. But then it was a fairly long wait all the way around to Episode 9, the end of the saga with Rise of Skywalker. I mean, and that's 42 years from 77 to 2019. The real cool thing about this class is that 1 year later, we're talking about the full saga, The Rise of Skywalker, the first iteration of this course. This is time 2, but the first version of this course ended 2 days. It ended on December 17th. So December 17th, the students, they present their final projects, which you'll see the workup and explanation of all that in week 3. Don't worry too hard about it now. But just 2 days after the class presented their presentations, midnight showings of Rise of Skywalker started. So this course for me is just huge. First run of it, it's doing the work to prepare for the Rise of Skywalker. And the second iteration of it, we're reflecting a year later on what this saga really is. And so we could rip through in release order. It wouldn't be wrong, but I think there's a little bit more we can be working with. Another option, say if you're just looking to rewatch this stuff, right? You can watch them in chronological order, where you go 1, 2, 3. That's where you start. And so you start a story at the beginning, right? Then chronologically, you would go Solo, Rogue One. Then you'd get the OT, 4, 5, 6, right? If you see me hit with PT, that's prequel trilogy, episodes 1, 2, 3. And then you could do 4, 5, 6, original trilogy. If you see ST, that's sequel trilogy, and that's episodes 7, 8, and 9. And you can watch them in this order. I've done them in this order. But I think there's something missing. We've already talked about the idea that if you watch episode 1 first, you're missing the fact that Star Wars exists prior to that film existing. So there's something that, especially a course where culture is in the title, it'd be a little weird to jump over so much of Star Wars culture and context to start there. And also a problem with a course, for me at least, is that you're telling me we would take what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 weeks of this class where we do a film a week before we see the first ever Star Wars scene, right? Like, you don't meet Luke Skywalker until halfway through the course, until like midterms are kicking around and you're in a Star Wars course just seeing Luke for the first time. A little weird to me, doesn't sit right. So I don't go with this order, but I have watched them in this order, and there's some charm. So what what I'm thinking is a way to kind of mix it up. All right. I have a lot of experience with Star Wars, and there's a lot of stuff going on. I mean, you'll see right here that I have episodes 4, 5, 6 listed in 2011 Blu-ray, and that's this one right here. Now that's Lucas's last amendment to the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy. And on these 2011 Blu-rays, you have his final word on the Star Wars saga. Now, if you're catching these on Disney Plus, there are a few things that are different. Nothing so dramatic as the difference between 77 and 1997, right? Nothing so crazy as their scenes added altogether. But in Disney Plus, you'll see that mostly the updates are about what is needed to be done with the medium or touching up visual effects, things like that. No drastic changes, but there are things that are different from your 2011 Blu-ray. The primary differences seem to be the logo and the fanfare at the beginning. Those have been updated to the new versions of the companies and the logos and stuff like that. But other than that, you're not getting anything different than you are here. Dramatically different than this in some regards. If you were lucky enough to pick these up early 2000s, this is the last time. This is the DVD. This is the last time that the original cuts were released, and they're actually in disc 2 of it. So you crack it open and you get the 1997 version, and then on the bonus disc you can have the original release. And this is the last time Lucas let them see the light of day. And so those are the types of things you're working with when you're a Star Wars fan for your whole life, when you just never shut up about Star Wars and finally trick someone into letting you teach a class twice. Like, gang, it's fantastic. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the order we're going after, right? So if you're on the syllabus, you're gonna see that let me see here, this is getting jammed up. If you are looking at the syllabus, you're going to see that I've got a modified order. All right, I'm calling it Prof. Gorham's Canonical Machete Order. Now this is modified machete, or sometimes called the hatchet order, right? Where a person talked about on a rewatch, how to rewatch these things. So, right, you've watched Star Wars a million times, a million different ways, and now you're looking for a way in which the story is told. And so what I propose for our class, right, is this. So we're going to watch Ep4, Ep5, right? The first 2 Star Wars movies that ever existed. And then we're going to kind of flash back based on this like greatest Hollywood reveal of all time in Ep5. We're going to flash back, do episodes 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to hit some chronology, right? Episodes 1, 2, 3 act as this flashback. Rogue One brings us back into this original trilogy stage as it lines up with episode 4 right at the end there. And then we're going to get back in to this original Anakin Luke space of the original and prequel trilogies. And so that's where we come in and we close out the original 6 with Return of the Jedi. So that's the order we're going there. We're going to treat episodes 1, 2, 3 and Rogue One as a sort of flashback. In the original Machete order, they basically cut out all of Phantom Menace. They modify Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. Topher Grace, of all people, he made a cut where all 3 of those films happen in about 3 hours. So you can watch Ep4, Ep5, 3-hour action-packed run of 1, 2, 3, and then you would get into 6. Now, this all happened before 7 came out, before Build 1 came out, and I need us to hit all the films. So this is how we're getting those things in. All right, and then from there, we're going to hit episode 7. We're going to hit Solo, and there's a very specific reason why I flop Solo. I give it to 7 instead of when it comes out with 8. There's a very particular reason, but that reason would be a spoiler for 7, and so I'm not going to hit you with that quite yet. And then we're going to do 8 and 9 and close it out. And if you have the syllabus with you, you'll see that that brings us right up to the end of the course, where you're starting to really think about all of your assignments, bringing it all together. All right, gang? So it's all part mastering Force, man. Starts with checking out sweet-ass DVD releases. And so that is our task. We're going to master the Force. We are going to learn a thing or two about the Skywalker saga, and we are going to enjoy the hell out of it. So that's the order. That's the plan. Hop on the boards if you want to talk about it, chat about it, think about it. That week 1 space is there for you. Anyways, gang, I will catch you all on the boards.